And welcome to this episode of How to Start, Grow, Monetize Your Podcast with me, James Burtt, and him, the poppreneur, Alex Chisnall. Today we're talking about podcast content that stands the test of time. Now, what do we mean by that? You might have heard the phrase newsjacking. Mm-hmm. You know, when something is being searched a lot, then people can often, and you'll see it with YouTube accounts and TikTok accounts and social media accounts and some podcasts, that people will jump onto that trend or they'll jump onto that subject and try and grab that sort of transient, very timely audience for that content. Makes a lot of sense and can work, and I have done it and it does work. But one of the things that I think is really powerful for podcasts is the fact that the content you make today can stand the test of time and still be relevant and still be getting you downloads and still be getting you watches and views years and years later. So there's two different sort of schools of thought here. If you're going to do the newsjacky, very timely thing, it can drive big traffic for a short period of time. Mm-hmm. But if it is content that can be non-time specific, then it can still be working for you, you know, months, if not years down the line, and still getting you a brand new audience. Have you ever done like the newsjacky, clickbaity, timely thing? Or is it just not I guess with the podcast that you've done, it doesn't need to be time-stamped really, does it, with your sort of content?
No, it doesn't. And I think really mindful now of dating things too much, because you see how certain episodes are all of a sudden popular again, and there's a reason for that, because people are searching for certain keywords, or somebody suddenly becomes popular. I'll give an example like Daniel Priestley going on to Diary of a CEO, getting 3 million views in like 6 months. I interview him for my podcast. My podcast then comes up in the searches, and I'm thinking, why is that podcast that I recorded back in May so popular again now? It's January, you know, just give an example. And that'll be the reason. You know, he's blown up somewhere else, might have a book that's been published, a new product that's been released, and therefore they're coming up higher, in searching for SEO. They're going on other podcasts, you know, they're in the press, they're on the radio, on the TV, you know, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I've never done that myself, but I'm aware of, and I should be better at promoting past episodes, and it's something that I think all podcasters should and could do. Is having a spreadsheet of your episodes and logging in there keywords for that episode, so that if you are super aware of what's trending, that, for example, there's let me give an example of something like, it's the Olympics. It comes around every 4 years. I did hijack this. I did it in the summer. There you go.
He has done it.
I did it. So when we had the last Olympics in Paris, I started promoting all of the episodes that I had with former Olympians. Okay.
Because you had quite a few, didn't you?
Yeah, ended up with a couple that medalled in Paris. So it's just like...
the BMX guy.
Kieran O'Reilly, and then Adam, who was a kayaker as well. He got a silver medal in the Olympics as well. So it could be, and that's more me in my mind being aware rather than being as organised as I should be. You're newsjacking it
retrospectively, not up front, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
is there though, aren't you?
Yeah. But
and the content formats.
Adam Burgess.
There you go. You got there in the end, didn't you? But the two sort of ways, whether it be trending content or evergreen content, there's two sort of specific tangible benefits to it. The thing you got to think about is it a good listener experience in the here and now?
Correct.
You know, stuff that, for example, I remember when I was doing a lot of documenting of growing a podcast agency during lockdown. So obviously the news agenda was very much around lockdown and the changes and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, podcasting, you couldn't go out during lockdown, and podcasting was a great way of doing it remotely. So I was doing a lot of like, hey, the latest regulations have come out around lockdown. It's getting harder to market. You can't go and see your clients face to face. How about doing this podcast thing instead? So that sort of worked really well. Would that stand the test of time now? No one is listening to that content. So you have to weigh up do I want it to work in 5 years' time, or do I not want it to work in 5 years' time? The other thing that I think from a evergreen versus non-time specific content perspective is for clips and promo materials. Now, I know that we are very guilty of this, you and I, with this podcast, especially because we've got so much content out of it. You know, sometimes the editor is picking 7, 8, 9 clips per episode. We are not even set and forget all of the content once.
No.
But for those podcasters who are maybe haven't got a team of people around them who can, you know, make so much of the content for them. But for example, if you're on episode 50 and you've been doing one per week, no one potentially has heard of or seen a clip from episode 1 for a year now.
Yeah.
Feel free to reutilize that content. And again, if you're making non-time specific content, you can use it again and again and again. Like you said with the Daniel Priestley thing, he goes on to Diary of a CEO, his profile starts blowing up. It would make sense from someone in your marketing team to go, well, we've got these 5 Daniel clips, let's just repost them again now.
Yeah.
You know, what was he talking about? What was he trending for on Diary of a CEO? Now, if you look at, what's the big podcast from Global? The News Agents, for example, the clips of work this week will never get used again.
No.
Unless something goes full circle for whatever reason, but they are intentionally hijacking the news agenda. So it will work really, really well now. It will burn hard and fast, but it will not be repurposable. But again, with this content, for example, the reason why, you know, we are recording this first day back after Christmas holidays, but we're not talking about... I've done it, I've ruined it, guys, sorry.
Happy New Year.
Hey! But we've not spoken about Christmas or New Year because it can, you know, number one, this won't be coming out until sort of February, March time. But secondly, we don't want to timestamp it and date specific.
Now you've done it.
And I actually did a batch recorded some content before Christmas, literally the week before, with another podcast that I'm involved in. And we specifically made 0 reference to Christmas, apart from one Christmas special, which we had the Christmas jumpers on. I dressed up as the Grinch. The only way I can outdo James Sinclair is to dress as an entire Grinch. I had the trousers on as well as the top. The collar matched the cuff, so to speak. But in that instance there, we specifically did that, knowing full well that episode will not get watched again now. Yeah. Because it was lessons from 24 and what we're excited about in 2025. Like that worked for that period of time. But you just have to be bearing in mind that there is a pro and a con to trending versus timeless.
Yeah. No, spot on. I think we've nailed it. 100%.
Well, there you go. If you think that we've nailed it, please let us know. Just DM the word nailed it wherever you follow us.
If not, type the word New Year underneath. Happy New Year 2025.
Yeah, absolutely. If you have enjoyed it though, please feel free to let us know. 5 stars wherever you download your podcast. I know we say it every episode, but honestly, it's one of those things in podcasting that actually really helps because the algorithm knows that the listening audience is genuinely, you can't really hack it, you can't really hijack it. So if you do click the follow button, it helps us. If you click the like button, it helps us. If you leave us a 5-star review, it helps. If you leave comments and feedback, it helps. And also same thing goes on YouTube. All the algorithms know that you are a genuine listening audience and you're enjoying the content, and it will therefore share it and show it to more people. So please do us the favor by subscribing, liking, following, all that kind of good stuff. Any final words from you, Mr. Chisnall?
Happy New Year.
You've ruined it again. What an idiot. Bye.